Although Colonel Philip Corso's testimony has become highly controversial in the field of ufology, another retired military officer has been coming clean about what he knows on UFOs. Could this lend credibility to the claims of Corso? Retired NATO officer Sergeant Major Robert Dean comes clean as this paranormal TV Truth Be Told story concludes. Is the wall of secrecy and intimidation surrounding Roswell and the UFO phenomenon starting to crumble? Despite the controversy surrounding Colonel Philip Corso's claims, another ex-military officer has been actively pushing for full disclosure. Former NATO Sergeant Major Robert Dean.
And I think it's important to understand that I began as a no-nonsense, crew-cut, professional infantry type. I was not fantasy-prone in any way. I was the kind of person who had to grab a hold of something and look at it, touch it, bite it, kick it, to believe it. But all that changed in 1963. I was assigned to one of those special military assignments we call plum assignments. You get them once in a great while. I was able to take my family with me off to Paris, France for an assignment at Supreme Headquarters, Allied Powers in Europe. I arrived in '63, was immediately assigned to the War Room, a place we call SHOC, Supreme Headquarters Operations Center. My top secret clearance was upgraded at that time to cosmic top secret, which was and still is the highest level of security classification that NATO has. And so I began working in the War Room, and I began to hear discussions, comments, and it caught my attention. I was listening to them discussing a study that was initiated in 1961, 2 years before I arrived. And the subject was UFOs. And there apparently was a big, expensive, long-range NATO study underway to determine what was happening over the skies of Central Europe. Now here's the problem. They were very obviously under intelligent control. They were very obviously incredibly technically capable. Their high speeds, their high altitude, the fact that they could turn on a dime and move and follow our jet fighters and fly rings around our bombers and fighters, got the military very concerned. And in 1961, they initiated a study. The conclusions were that it had been going on for a long time. There were several groups involved. They were interested in us in some way. They had an extremely advanced technology. I pulled that out of the vault every chance I got. Every time I was on duty in SHOC, I'd pull it out and read it. I'd go through it. I'd looked at the photographs. I'd looked at the reports, medical studies, metallurgical analysis, autopsies. I couldn't put it down. They determined that, God help us, happily, that these guys, whoever they were and wherever they were from, were not malevolent or hostile, because if they had been, the level of technology that they repeatedly demonstrated was so far beyond anything we or the Soviets had, that if they had been malevolent or hostile, whatever it was would have been over a long time ago. Now that was the aspect that intrigued me quite a bit. The fact that there had been a long-term, long-range survey of some kind taking place by several extraterrestrial intelligences.